Morning students, now we had come up to lesson 12, verbs, active and passive. We were to start last time, right? So we shall start it. Active and passive voice. Active voice मतलब वो होता है जब आप स्टेटमेंट पर्सन आपके सामने खड़ा होता है और आप उस सेंस में बोल रहे हो. एंड पैसिव इज इनडायरेक्ट वॉइस, राइट? जब वो एक्शन हो चुका है एंड यू आर टेलिंग इट टू समवन एल्स, अ थर्ड पर्सन, देन यू यूज द पैसिव वॉइस. सो लेट अस स्टडी इट. Now, active and passive voice. A transitive verb, a verb which has an object, has two voices: active voice, passive voice. Look at this sentence. Sudha respects the teacher. What is the action performed? Respecting. What is the subject of the verb? Respects. Sudha. कौन respect कर रहा है? सुधा कर रही है. और object कौन है? Teacher है. किसको respect कर रही है? Teacher को कर रही है. Who performs the action of respecting? Sudha. So, in this sentence, the subject of the verb also performs the action named in the verb. This sentence is laid to be in the active voice, right? Is said to be in active voice. Sudha respects the teacher. Sudha is the subject and object is the teacher and respects is the verb. अगर हम इसको subject उल्टा करेंगे और object उल्टा करेंगे और फिर sentence बनाएंगे, meaning same रहेगा, then it becomes passive voice. The place of subject and object changes in a sentence in passive voice. What we can say? The teacher is respected by Sudha. Meaning तो same ही होता है उसका भी. But the subject and the object in the sentence change, right? When the subject of a verb also performs the action named in the verb. Action कौन कर रहा है? The verb is said to be in active voice, right? जब सब्जेक्ट ही वर्क कर रहा है तो इट इज़ इन एक्टिव वॉइस, लेकिन जब ऑब्जेक्ट पहले आता है तो इट इज़ इन पैसिव वॉइस. नाउ कंसिडर दिस सेंटेंस. द टीचर इज रिस्पेक्टेड बाय सुधा. व्हाट इज द एक्शन परफॉर्म? अगेन रिस्पेक्टिंग. व्हाट इज द सब्जेक्ट ऑफ द वर्ब? इज रिस्पेक्टेड. द टीचर. कौन है? सब किसको रिस्पेक्ट हो रहा है? टीचर को रिस्पेक्ट हो रहा है. Does the subject, the teacher, perform the action of respecting? Teacher action कर रही है? नहीं. कौन कर रहा है? Respect. सुधा कर रही है, right? No, on the contrary, the subject, the teacher, receives the action. When the subject becomes the receiver of the action in the sentence, it becomes in passive voice. Action of respecting. We know that it is Sudha who performs the action. The sentence is said to be in the passive voice. So underline this. When the subject of the verb receives the action named in the verb is said to be in the passive voice. It is usual to use the active voice, but sometimes the person or thing that performs the action is unknown, right? At times ऐसा होता है कि implied subject होता है. हमने पहले sentences ऐसे किए हैं. Do this, go here. अब इसमें implied subject है. ये तुमको बोला जा रहा है. So you is the subject, right? So at times the subject is not given. So ऐसे sentences भी होते हैं. It or is unimportant or is vague. In such cases we use the passive voice. We should remember that it is the verb that expressed in the active, that is expressed in the active or passive voice. Verb change होता है active और passive voice के अंदर, right? So when verb changes, the voice changes. Yet when a verb is expressed in passive voice, the form of the whole sentence is changed. Let us compare the two forms of understand that changes to understand that what changes take place. Sudha respects the teacher. Sudha, the teacher is respected by Sudha, right? Now the active object, the teacher, has become the passive subject here. The active subject Sudha has become the passive object, and we have used the preposition by before it. Preposition by पहले use हुआ है. However, if this subject is not important, we may omit it, right? Somebody wants Aditi on the telephone. Active voice. Aditi is wanted on the telephone. Passive voice. By someone is not mentioned, right? We have omitted the words by somebody. An appropriate form of verb be has been used, followed by the past participle form of the verb respected. Now, changing sentences in active voice to passive voice. The object of verb in the active voice becomes the subject of the verb in the passive voice. The subject of the verb in the active voice becomes the prepositional phrase in the passive voice by plus an active subject. मतलब subject takes the place of object, object takes the place of subject, right? और subject mention करते टाइम by करना पड़ता है हमें, by mention करना पड़ता है. That is called a prepositional phrase. The verb in the active voice is changed to a suitable auxiliary or plus past participle form of the verb. Past participle form मतलब past tense form उसका लेना पड़ता है verb का. So now personal pronouns and passive constructions. कैसे बनाते हैं personal pronouns को, that is we shall study now. While changing sentences from active to passive voice, we have to be careful about the use of personal pronouns. I need some help. Active. Subject form of the pronoun is I, right? Some help is needed by me, right? Now here passive voice, object form of the pronoun I, right? Me becomes the object. Then Anu informed her. Active, object form of the pronoun she. She was informed by Anu. Passive, this is passive form, right? Subject form of pronoun she. Now see, we shall study see. The object or the subject may be a long phrase instead of a single word. When a sentence in the active voice is rewritten मतलब फिर से लिखा जाता है. In the passive voice the whole phrase will change its position. पूरा phrase का position sentence में change हो जाता है. The wind uprooted a large number of trees. This is an active voice. A large number of trees were uprooted by the wind. That is passive, right? The phrase takes यहाँ से पहले चला गया starting में. So it is changing its place in the passive voice. All the prize winning students attended the function. This is an active. Now the place of this phrase changes. The function was attended by all prize winning students, right? That is passive. Transitive verbs. Now transitive, intransitive we had done. When the verb in the active voice is detransitive, there are two forms in the passive voice. Your uncle teaches us English. This is an active. Indirect object है us. Us is the receiver of the action. Direct object क्या है? English है. We are taught English by your uncle. Or English is taught to us by your uncle. Both are possible. The first form is preferred. Generally ये वाला हम लोग prefer करते हैं. Now further, don't confuse in much rules and regulations of active and passive. As and when you will solve the exercise, जितना practice करोगे उतना आपको समझ में आता जाएगा. And this is what we daily use in talking, walking English. जब भी आप interact करने के try करोगे English के अंदर, we need to know about active and passive voices. We need to know about direct and indirect speeches, right? So these are something which is very important to understand. To get a confidence in speaking English correctly, right? So this is important to study. Verbs followed by prepositions. Active verbs followed by prepositions, retain them when they are changed to passive voice, right? Active verbs जो होते हैं prepositions उसके साथ रहते हैं. She did not care for me. For is a preposition. This is an active. I was not cared for by her, right? Cared के साथ for भी रहा in passive. So it has taken the preposition from the active voice. They shouted at the naughty boy. This is inactive. The naughty boy was shouted at by them. At is a preposition. Okay, by them. Now interrogative sentences. When interrogative sentences are changed into passive voice, they retain their interrogative form. Do you obey your parents? That is inactive. Are your parents obeyed by you? This is in passive. How does she do all this? Inactive. And how is all this done by her? That is in passive. Now simple present tense, इसमें different tenses use होते हैं. आपको tenses सिखाए जाते हैं grammar में. That is because of this reason, because you will need these tenses to be used in daily speaking English, right? That is why you should learn the tenses. Now simple present, We use this room on special occasions. This is in active. Passive में कैसे use करोगे? This room is used on special occasions. Does he still love me? In active. Am I still loved by him? In passive. Who keeps the accounts? Active. By whom are the accounts kept? That is in passive. Who are the accounts kept by? That is also correct. This is also a passive one. The second pattern is preferred these days. Nowadays ये वाला pattern भी use होता है. Now in active voice and passive voice, root form of verb sometimes with s or es used does love keeps, ऐसा s और es के साथ हम लोग यूज़ करते हैं सिंपल प्रेजेंट में. दैट वी हैव लर्नड राइट. नाउ पैसिव वॉइस में क्या यूज़ करते हैं? इज आर एम प्लस पास्ट पार्टिसिपल फॉर्म ऑफ द वर्ब. वर्ब का फॉर्म पास्ट पार्टिसिपल में चला जाता है. पास्ट टेंस प्रेजेंट है राइट. इट इज़ सिंपल प्रेजेंट टेंस बट पैसिव फॉर्म में वर्ब पास्ट टेंस में चला जाता है राइट. So is are am plus past participle form of verb is used, am loved, are kept, right? Okay, now exercise 1. Fill in the blanks with passive form of verbs when the brackets in the brackets. Okay, आपको brackets में verbs दिए उनका passive form इसमें use करना है. Number 1, parents request are requested to see the principal on Monday. Number 2, sugar is sold at lower rates at fair price shops. That is sell. Right? Number 3, progress reports dash regularly dash to the parents. Send. Send का हो जाएगा sent, past participle form. And are. Right? Present tense का supporting verb क्या है? Are. Reports are. More than one है इसलिए are. नंबर 4, एक दो एक्सरसाइजेज मैं आपको डिटेल में एक्सप्लेन करूँगी, फिर बाकी का 1 और 2 सेंटेंसेस करके छोड़ दूँगी. देन यू रेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स यू डू इट ऑन योर ओन. आई विल फोकस ऑन द आंसर की. Just write it down from that because we cannot afford to waste time in solving each and every sentence in the videos, right? Because it's very difficult otherwise to complete the entire syllabus. Okay, so now progress report ये कर दिया. Eyes dash in the basement. Test का are tested, right? Are is a present tense verb and tested. Eyes s लगा है तो are use होगा. Single eye बोलेंगे तो is use होगा, right? जनरली सिंगल आई नहीं बोलते हैं, आईज ही यूज़ करते हैं बिकॉज ऑलवेज यू हैव 2 eyes. नाउ नंबर 5, ओनली वेरी ब्राइट स्टूडेंट्स डैश टू क्लास 11th admit, right? Are admitted. The children dash to bring their own water bottles are expected. Number 7, all lights are switched off at 9 p.m. at 10 p.m. Then 8, lunch is served only between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Are we, now this is a question, so you start the question with a supporting verb. Present tense में supporting verb are, is, are, am होता है. So are we required to carry our identity cards? Why is so little attention paid to physical activities, right? So pay is the word. Now we shall move on to exercise 2.